You're entering Corsi Nation.
This is Dr. Jerome Corsy, and today it is Wednesday. It's June 25th, 2025. Thanks for joining us here on CorsiNation.com. We're doing on X. If you want to follow us, you can get us on at CorsyJerome1 and on Substack, JeromeCorsyPhD.substack.com. Now, I guess one of the top stories today is this race for the New York mayor, and this socialist, Democrat socialist, Zorhan Mamdani, who won the nomination for the New York city's mayor. He got about 40-some% of the vote, and Cuomo was running against him. Cuomo came in a pretty distant second. Cuomo, I think, is really pretty well finished as a politician after he resigned, and the sexual charges against him will probably not be able to be, you're probably not going to be able to shake those. But Mamdani would be the first Muslim to be nominated by a major party for a New York City mayor. And the guy's very much of a radical. He has a wish list and a campaign list of promises. He's going to have city-run grocery stores. He's going to have $30 an hour as the minimum wage. Give away. And I'm sure that's how he won the votes. He is an assemblyman, and of course, he could have done things as New York City assemblyman, including with taxes that he didn't do. Tax the rich, of course, is the favorite mantra of the left. But I have a suggestion. I was watching this morning, seeing Eric Adams, who is the mayor of New York, a Democrat, on Fox and Friends, and he's going to run against Mamdani. I kind of would suggest that maybe Eric Adams ought to just become a Republican. I mean, basically, the Democratic Party has no use for Eric Adams. They're not interested in him at all. But if Eric Adams ran as a Republican, I think he could be a very strong challenger to this Zorhan Mamdani, especially with the support of Donald Trump. Now you say, okay, what's going to happen to Curtis Silva, who is the founder of the Guardian Angels in New York City? He wears the red cap. I've met him several times in New York, and he's a great guy. But if he's running for on the Republican side, and you've got Adams as a independent and Cuomo as an independent, and this Mamdani, I think Mamdani has a likelihood of winning. I think what they should do is just offer Silva a job at the White House, bring him into the administration, move him from being a candidate to mayor, move him inside the administration. He'd make a great spokesperson for Trump in the White House, especially with his reputation of keeping New York safe. And then let Eric Adams, run as a Republican candidate. Certainly would shake things up. I mean, I'd be real interested, Chris. What do you think of this? I mean, come on, and what do you think about Silva would make a great White House spokesperson, Eric Adams, Republican candidate, and let this Mamdani run as a Democrat and lose, especially with Cuomo and splitting the ticket with him, or splitting the Democratic vote.
The way I see it, and Cuomo conceded, by the way, and there was still that puncher's chance where he could have been second place on these ranked choice votings. That paperboy Prince or whatever his name is got about 630 votes. I was hoping he'd win, but that's another story for another day. He only got 630 votes. I look at the bottom of the list to see who gets on there, that sort of thing. But on a serious note, Eric Adams actually has a better chance of winning as an independent than you might think. There will be people who will vote for Sliwa. There will be people who will vote for the socialist candidate, Zorhan Mamdani, if you will. But a lot of those Eric Adams might run and win on a very small percentage. Excuse me. Yeah, he might actually win a 3-person race. You don't have to win with a very high percentage if that's the case.
Well, I think he would do better with Trump support. Trump's a New Yorker. Trump support would sway a lot of people, and it would have a sharp contrast between the socialist Muslim approach to politics, and Donald Trump's "Make America Great Again," "Make New York City Great Again." So, I mean, I'm kind of seriously considering that it's something to put forward. Silva would make a great spokesperson. He's got a good personality. He comes across well in the media. He's has a history in New York City, as I say, of the Guardian Angels, and it would be with the ones going around wearing the red berets. You see them from time to time in New York City in the subways, in particular. But at any rate, it's going to be an interesting race one way or the other. I just think Eric Adams should think about switching parties, but that's my 2 cents on it.
The problem with New York City is there are too many people who will vote for the person with the D at the end of his name unless they wake up a little bit. There's still reluctance to vote for the R ever since Rudy Giuliani. However, Curtis Sliwa, to your point, has a name. He did run for mayor last time. He did do better than most Republican candidates might have. Definitely better than Nicole Maliotakis beforehand, but Maliotakis got no support from people.
No
And that's
support at
another
all.
thing. Guys like guys with money, people with money in New York City need to step up and help either the Republican candidate, which is Sliwa right now, or Eric Adams, the independent, to stop Zorhan Mamdani from winning this election. But
Well,
they're not going to. Are they going to? That's the question.
I don't think so. I think if Van Damney becomes the mayor of New York, I think you can kiss New York goodbye. I mean, it's going to be a lot of business because it's going to leave. New York is already less safe than it was under Giuliani, and certainly with the illegal immigrants that were brought into New York City and put in hotels, New York has become a very, very different place. And I don't think it's as safe. I don't think it's as interesting. It's city's on the decline at the moment, and the city needs something to turn around, or else it's going to begin to go into fairly deep decline. It doesn't take very much for New York to topple off the edge, and it's headed that way.
Exactly. Now, some people will say, again, try to correct me and say Michael Bloomberg was the last Republican elected mayor of New York. Well, he's hardly a Republican. Michael Bloomberg was only a Republican in name when he ran for New York City mayor. The party in and of itself should be at fault too, because in 2013 they ran this Joe Lota guy. I don't even remember who he was. Joe Lota against Bill de Blasio, who snuck in there. He got the nomination over because of the whole Anthony Weiner scandal. But they just gave up when they had a chance to come and take over and beat a socialist. They just they've surrendered since 2013. I'll even say they surrendered since 2009 because Bloomberg wasn't really their candidate either, and he was more he officially kind of broke off from the party. So the Republicans are at fault. The people aren't putting money into their candidates, and I know Sliwa has a very hard uphill climb even against Mamdani because of the lack of support the Republicans get or give.
Mamdani will get a lot of money. There's no question about it. The Democrats will find money for him.
Yeah, and out of the city, by the way, outside of the city, you probably see a lot of Hollywood money and Soros money flowing that way.
National money. If Act Blue is still in existence, and I'm beginning to wanting to start writing about Act Blue and the money laundering schemes. That's coming. There's going to be a huge scandal on that really developing very shortly. Not just the using people's identities to pay money and do election campaigns, but another whole scam that I've written and submitted the first articles on. I'm going to be doing some more now. You'll see them in print very soon. Okay, that's all part of God's Five Stones, by the way. We're going to expand God's Five Stones and include a deeper investigation into things like Act Blue. And I think you're going to find it to be very interesting which way we go. Keep following us, and appreciate your donations at godsfivestones.com. Okay, Donald Trump is at the NATO meeting, and the big news yesterday was this intelligence report that was leaked out saying that the damage done in the Saturday midnight raid, B-2 bombers raiding and all three major nuclear sites in Iran only set Iran back a few days. Now, when you really drill down on that report, first of all, it was DIA report, Defense Intelligence Agency, of low confidence. It means they don't really have any basis for what they were saying. And then it was picked up by the CNN reporter who has done these narratives, supported about the Steele dossier, and wrote the story that promoted that the 51 intelligence agencies or agents, high-ranking intelligence officers say that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. So you see the narrative being run against Donald Trump. And the Israeli assessment of the strike is that it's devastating. And I think you'll begin to see some pictures and you'll begin to see some documentation that makes it clear these sites were made inoperable for a long time. Clearly, the damage done to Iran was devastating because Iran is even respecting the ceasefire, which means Iran was beaten. Now, Iran may just simply be pausing in the war to go back at it, but it's not going to go back at it with the nuclear capacity for a long time. And the Ayatollah Khamenei is the weakest he's ever been, and in danger, I think, of being toppled by his own people. There's a lot of discussion going on right now for internal groups within Iran of taking over and having an actual attempt to oust Khamenei. The other part that has got to be appreciated is that Israel had done such deep penetration of agents into Iran that Israel was able to kill off a whole level of the Revolutionary Guard military command, killed off many of the important government officials, and possibly most important, it killed off a lot of the scientists. So Iran has been basically reduced to a very poor and a very weak country. Iran had no air force. All it could do is fire missiles into Israel without any specific guidance to hit particular targets. They were just fired into civilian areas. And it seems like Israel was pretty able to knock them down with their Iron Dome defense system. So it was a war, a 12-day war, in which Iran decisively lost. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a major, major change in the Middle East, because Iran was clearly the terror master. When you look at what's happened in the Middle East that Donald Trump has accomplished by allowing Netanyahu to go into the Gaza and clean out Hamas, it's not done yet, but it is well along in the process. With Hamas gone, you're going to find that Palestinians are not going to be allowed to return to Gaza. And the Gaza is going to become a very, very different place. So Donald Trump's plan is working. The Hezbollah is also, they had these beepers that were detonated. Something like 3,000 of Hezbollah's leaders were killed in, one attack with their beepers blowing up. And in Syria, you find now Syria is still in disarray, but Assad is gone, and the Houthi rebels were bombed into submission as well. So it's the first time if Iran loses its capacity to participate in the oil industry, in the oil business, Iran will be brought to its knees very quickly economically. With Iran weakened militarily, it's not going to be able to support these terrorist groups around the region. So it was a decisive attack, and it was a decisive game changer in the politics of the Middle East, because the Middle East has been dominated by radical Islam, which is constantly attacking Israel and then spreading the terrorism throughout the world, attacking the United States and other interests, penetrating into Europe. In the aftermath of radical Islam being dampened in the Middle East, which I think Saudi Arabia and the UAE are going to favor, I think it opens up the opportunity for Trump to restore the Abraham Accords and to make some progress here with getting the region to think about prosperity rather than war. Libya has made the offer to take in Palestinians. I think that's now going to start being discussed. I think it's now going to get back onto the table. A lot of these issues demand time, and timing is everything. So if these issues begin to develop the right time, the right way, I think we can seek the favor of God to intervene and spare us a nuclear war, which seems to be happening. Certainly, Russia and China have decided to sit out the U.S. attacks on Iran. They're not coming to Iran's aid or defense. Iran's not getting supplied weaponry. And by the way, the NATO conference that's going on right now in Amsterdam, Zelensky and Ukraine are not attending. So Donald Trump is really, I think, in charge again of the West in a way that no president has been in charge going back decades. And since the post-war era, Europe has, with the European Union, has gone its own direction. And now with the United States State Department under Hillary Clinton wanting to tip against Russia, I think Rubio and Trump are beginning to reverse these things. But it's going to take time. As that DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency report on the Trump's massive and very successful, extremely impressive military attack on Iran, and with CNN and the DIA opposing it with this narrative that's a false narrative, the Democrats are really reduced to repeating old tricks that are now transparent. As soon as that report came out yesterday, it was obvious it was just CIA disinformation trying to discredit Trump. And since 2017, CNN and the other groups have done nothing but undermine Trump, and they do it consciously and with purpose. Okay, I want to move to one or two more stories that I'm following internationally, and I'm still following the international economy and warning everybody that the international economy is not particularly strong. Okay, so right today, we see that if we take a look at gold and silver, gold is still holding at $3,326 an ounce. Silver has dropped a little bit under $36. It's $35.84. But again, they're both well above where they were last year. And since I've been talking about this for the last couple of years, remember I was talking about getting with Swiss America and getting gold and silver back when gold was $1,800 and $1,900 an ounce. You could have nearly doubled your money had you listened at that time. I'm going to give you the number for calling Swiss American. You get a self-directed IRA in which you can put some of your retirement assets into a gold or silver depository account in Delaware, the Lloyd's of London guarantee, and Swiss America would guide you through the steps and do it for you. The number for Swiss America, Chris is going to put up here in a second with the book you can get, which is the book I've written on the coming global crisis is going to cause an historic gold rush. And the 800 number, Swiss America, is 800-519-6268. 1-800-519-6268. Okay, and I think it's important you make that call. There's a lot of good information on Swiss America, free reports. And if you take a look at our website, you can see ways to get the free reports downloaded to your computer. Also, My Vital C, another one of our sponsors. I take it every day. I'll be 79 years old in August and still probably more active than ever. And the My Vital C right there, you can see we've written another book, Live Longer and Better. I wrote that with Chris Burries, who is a senior officer and really one of the researchers at Rice University who helped formulate carbon-60 in a manner that's soluble for human consumption. It was a remarkable molecule, a single molecule surrounded by 60 carbon atoms in a cage-like structure, like a soccer ball or a Buckminster Fuller geodesic dome. And so these molecules are called fullerenes. They have remarkable properties as antioxidants. They have it for cats and dogs. There's hair creams, there's skin creams. I recommend them all. Pets love these products as well and are revitalized by them. Watch the difference when you get your pets some of this carbon-60, and then you can see what it will do for you. Okay, if we go switch gears here a little bit and try to cover some more stories going on in the economy, I want to stress what we've been covering on this port in Chile, this Copia Port E. And I'll give you, Chris, something to put up here on the website, and you can display this Copia Port E. I'll put it in the chat so you can pick it up easily. Here we go. And the Copia Port E, there's a little video on it. You can see it with the hacienda. It's in Chile, on the Pacific side of South America. And China has an MOU to buy this from Todd Callender, who is my friend and co-author. We wrote Disease X together, that book. Copia Port E is a deep water port, and it's on this Hacienda Castilla, which is a very mineral rich part of Chile. The port is deep water, which means that you can even have Navy ships here. If China gets this, China will have a hold on ports in South America. They also have a port in Peru, China does. And this will connect over in a bi-oceanic corridor that's being created. China will work on this with Brazil, Chile, and Paraguay to open up the Atlantic coast by rail and highway to Copia Port E. So you could actually have an alternative overland to the Panama Canal. And China also still controls the Panama Canal. So again, Donald Trump has made noise about wanting to take back the Panama Canal. He also wanted to get involved in this Copia Port E and do something so that China does not control all these trade routes in the Southern Hemisphere, which is what China is working to do. China needs the agriculture coming out of Argentina, and there are two passes through the Andes, through low gradient passes where highways connect Argentina's breadbasket directly with this Copia Port E, which would make it easier for China to get in its China Max ships, which can hold 24,000 TEUs, 24,000 containers. These ships are just massive. And you can see the difference there in the three ships from what goes through the Panama Canal, which is the smallest one, to the medium-sized one, which is normal for interoceanic traffic, and to these China maximum 24,000 TEU cargo vessels, ships, which are just enormous. And they also have liquid fuel capacity. So these tankers or cargo ships function both for liquid natural gas and for containers. China does want to dominate and own the sea traffic around the world, and China is doing a very good job of capturing, without anyone noticing it, all these ports throughout South America. I'm saying we've got to get this to President Trump's attention. We've got to get somebody to make an offer on this border before China grabs it. And China may try to grab this as early as next month when Xi Jinping goes to Rio de Janeiro for the next annual meeting of the BRICS, this anti-American group headed by Russia and China. So BRICS are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. It's a formidable group, and they do want to compete with the dollar. Okay, if we go to a couple more stories that are out there today, the Democrats winning with this Mamdani is probably at the moment the flash news story that's getting most attention. Okay, now what I'm seeing is that the United States middle class is still squeezed. We're developing a housing crisis where people are in houses that they cannot sell for the amount they've paid for the houses. The amount of mortgages is outstanding. The houses are underwater. And that's a bad sign in terms of a deflating real estate market. If it deflates too fast, it can create a lot of foreclosures from people who can't sell their houses but need to, and are yet very much stuck by having money owed to the bank even when the house is sold and all the money is used to down pay the loan to the extent possible. Okay, so the BRICS meeting, which is coming up in July, is going to have to deal with Trump's spectacular victory, these B-52s flying from the United States to West Asia to release these bunker buster bombs on Iran's nuclear facilities. Okay, so the Iran is impacting the entire world scene. It's now a rearrangement being reconsidered in terms of how these different elements are going to interact now that Iran's nuclear weapon has been taken off the table. If we're focused again on top stories, one or two that I think are drawing some of the most attention right now, aside from the Trump victory, is the Democrats going insane, trying to undermine Trump by saying that he needed to come to Congress sooner. He didn't inform Congress enough. Of course, the Democrats didn't complain about that when, under the Biden administration or under Obama administration, the president took action. But 79 Democrats just voted to impeach Trump again on a motion put up by Al Green. And Chris, if we got the Al Green speech, I think we'll kind of wrap it up today because it's good comic relief to hear Al Green. Let's hear what he has to say.
I rise today because our country is nearing a moment of decision. I rise
right
at the intersection of democracy and autocracy.
Yeah, well, democracy. Stop there for a minute. This is their theme. They're saying that democracy is what they want. No, they want intolerance. They want you to support what they believe is correct. Then you have the right to speak, and you are being democratic. So if you don't support the, bi-gender dystopia and sex change operations, LGBTQ, blah, 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 then you're not democratic. You're autocratic. So it's a twisting of language. We'll play just a little bit more. This Al Green is the guy who, when Trump gave the address to Congress right after the inauguration, was waving his cane. You can see his cane behind him there on the bench in the House of Representatives. He carries that cane around and he uses it like kind of a weapon, shaking it and pointing it at people. But he was taken off of the floor of the House when Trump gave that speech because he was very much being disruptive. Okay, let's play a little bit more.
That at this moment in time, I have filed H-Res 537. H-Res 537 is a privileged resolution. H-Res 537 has been filed because I believe that the President of the United States has committed an impeachable act. H-Res 57 addresses abuse of presidential powers by disregarding the separation of powers.
He's not coming.
America.
Okay, now stop it right there. The Article 2 powers of the president don't demand that he comes to Congress before he does anything. Even the War Powers Act, which is somewhat problematic, allows the president to take an action and come to Congress something like 48 hours afterwards. Now, to declare war, yes, the president needs Congress to make a declaration of war. But a lot of wars, especially since World War II, have not been declared wars. They've just been wars that we entered into one way or the other and got through various resolutions. Gulf of Tonkin resolution was used to justify the Vietnam War for a long time. Okay, so Al Green is just doing another old, tired Democratic routine. And I think we're going to see the Democratic Party really has lost its way. If it's going to support candidates like this radical Muslim socialist for mayor of New York, and it's going to support not deporting MS-13 criminals from the United States, it's not going to win the popular support of the people across the country. And by the way, the Supreme Court yesterday also decided that Trump had the authority not only to round up and deport criminal illegals, but also these illegal aliens could be deported to a country that wasn't their country of origin, a third-party country. Okay, now I want to pretty much wrap it up today. This is Dr. Jerome Corsy. I'm traveling. Be traveling all this week. Been a busy time. And I'm very, very relieved to see Iran no longer a nuclear threat. I wrote my first book on Iran in 2006. It was Atomic Iran. And on July 3rd, I'm going to be back on Coast to Coast AM to talk about it. For 20 years, I've been arguing that this day would come. And it has come. And Donald Trump was there to handle it effectively. We've neutralized Iran's nuclear program for the indefinite time going forward. But it is certainly a game changer. In the end, God always wins. God wins. God's going to win here too. The next round is going to involve China. China's on the ascent. And we should be very cautious to know that China intends to be world dominator. And that's going to be our next big challenge. So Dr. Jerome Corsy, thank you for joining us on CorsiNation.com. We're doing podcasts every weekday. Thank you for joining us. Spread the word about CorsiNation.com being back. And please come back and join us again tomorrow. God bless.